Hello, I'm Steph Curtis-Riley and I'm joined by Maja and Kerry Roy, and we're going to introduce ourselves individually. But firstly, I just want to say thank you very much for having us join you for your wonderful event. And we're really looking forward to talking about transformational hotels and how the role of the hotel has changed. I am the publisher of International Glamping Business Magazine and one of the co-organisers of the Eco Hotel Summit alongside Maja. And I will pass you on to Maja to introduce herself now.
Hi, I'm Maja, founder and CEO of World of Glamping, the collection of best experiential places in the world. And like Steph said, yeah, we are working together on the events, Eco Hotel Summit and Eco Resort Network. And I will pass the word to Kerry.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Kerry Roy, and I am the owner of, founder and owner of two glamping sites, one in the UK, Camp Couture, which is an off-grid glamping site, and one in Italy, which is Cerchio del Desiderio, a little bit of a mouthful. So that's a little bit more luxury. So yeah, I'm going to be joining the panel tonight also to just go through all the transformational side of glamping that I've experienced.
And I think we should say I'm based in London, Maja is in Slovenia, and Kerry is in Italy. And I'm afraid it's dinner time at my place, so there might be all sorts of noises and things going on in the background, and I can't help it. And we've all got a drink, so we're all going to say cheers.
Yeah, cheers, ching ching.
It's a cocktail hour for us. So
absolutely.
So there we go. So let's kick off with really, I think, how the role of the hotel has changed. And I'm trying to think back earlier on today, like the first time that I really stayed in a hotel and what it was like. And I think growing up, my parents, probably because we didn't have a heck of a lot of money, we didn't stay in big fancy hotels. If we went abroad, we would probably stay somewhere quite simple, a family-owned place, maybe like a pizza restaurant with rooms or something like that. What are your first memories, Maja, for you, of staying in a proper hotel?
Oh my gosh, I can't even remember till then. Yeah, I think there were more impersonal hotels, like just the hotel, like coat hotels. They were okay, like, but nothing that you would remember by. That nothing that you would, I don't know, talk about them later on. It's just that's why you see, I don't even remember what kind of
exactly.
Yeah. It's like with the conferences later on. When you go to the hotels, they are very nice hotels, but still they are room, another room, and another room. They are all like similar. So it's the buildings and similar hotels. So you don't remember them by anything special later on.
Yeah. And Kerry, what about you? I mean, because you've traveled all over the world as well, even before you set up your own place.
Yeah, for me, I mean, my grandma, she lived in Spain, in Benidorm for a while. So when there wasn't enough room in her little one-bed tiny box apartment, we'd all stay in local hotels that had entertainment to entertain us as kids. And some of them were the best memories that I had, because she always met friends and had constant entertainment and the swimming pool. And they weren't expensive, especially back then. But anything that we stayed in the UK, other than my dad's like literally camper van with a mattress in, then it would be bed and breakfast. We always stayed in just small bed and breakfast by the seaside that were cost effective, and we'd all, you know, squeeze sort of 4 to 6 of us if we could in one room, and they just felt more personal and homely. I just remember it feeling quite homely because it was owned by either a family or a couple at the time, and having that personal connection rather than the big sort of hotel, which I think in the UK we probably had more of back then. And now we have obviously the mix of and big hotels.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think there's something to be said for that kind of impersonal experience of just using a place as a base, knowing that you've got the basic necessities that you need, a shower, you can get a cup of coffee, a decent breakfast in the morning, and you'd be on your way. But, you know, really it's not a hugely satisfying experience. It's a takeaway meal rather than a home cooked meal. It's something that really, as you say, Maja, you don't remember it much.
No,
but I mean,
actually, really don't remember.
Exactly. I do remember staying above a pizza place because I remember the family that served us there. You know, they were like 3 generations of the same family, and you remember the people that, Kerry, that you saw when you were growing up in the seaside B&Bs. So I think that in order to create a memorable experience, you have to have more aspects. You have to have the people aspect to it, really.
Yeah, absolutely. That, I think that is a key thing, the personal side of it. And I think in our industry, the glamping industry, it has maintained a very personal side to it, but as it's growing and as it's getting bigger, and as you've got the bigger investors now coming in, and you've got, you know, sites that exist, chain sites actually bringing into glamping, the fear is that it will start to slowly disperse and lose that personal connection. There's always going to be the independents setting up in this industry, but there's also those people that may never have been glamping before, and they choose to book unknowingly a more bigger site where they don't actually get that personal experience, where they don't get that sort of interpersonal connection.
Yeah.
And for me personally, I have found a difference between having 2 sites, one in the UK that I never actually lived at. I lived away and I had wardens, so I had staff that maintained it. But I live on my site here in Italy. And the comments and feedback that we get is just, you know, the owner's wonderful because I've got this personal connection with them. It's like people are coming into my home and my space. And that, for me, I find gives me a lot more positive reviews and people wanting to come back because they feel like they've just, you know, we don't always sit and have wine or anything, but they just feel like they've come to my home and they want to come back. And that's nice. I feel like, okay, you know, it is worth losing your sanctuary sometimes and sharing it, if you like.
It must be a difficult balance to make there, but I think that we're more receptive when we travel. You know, we're outside of our comfort zone, so we are taking in everything that perhaps normally we would take for granted, our morning coffee, the weather, the plants, the people, and in a sense, you know, I don't know if it's just me, but I kind of almost imagine myself as a different person when I'm abroad. So I wear different types of clothes. I like to kind of do what the locals do as much as possible. It's like I'm trying on a different persona. And I think and if you go to a hotel, you see the people that are working there, especially if they own the hotel, you're kind of curious what their life is like and whether you could ever have that kind of life. You want to know some details. Is that something, Maja, that you think you've set up places? Do you have a different head when you travel? Do you ever travel as a tourist, or do you always look as like a professional?
Yeah, it's a hard, I would say that before I was doing that, I was traveling like a tourist every time. And I fell in love, for example, in Africa lodges. So this was the time that those kind of places stayed in my memory. And those kind of places I do still remember. But now when I travel, fortunately, I always look from the professional side every time. My family now is already used to it, and till here we needed to talk between each other, and they said, "Can you please be quiet? Can you please not ruin our experience, please?" So now I do keep this to myself, all the mistakes that I see. But yeah, it's hard to travel around the places because I look from the angle of quality of the experiences that they are offering. What are they doing? How do they look outside? What's the architecture? What's the landscaping? So I look at everything. Yeah, how to travel like a normal tourist before.
I think that it's almost like listening to somebody make a speech when you know they're nervous and you want them to succeed. When I go to stay somewhere, I want to like it. I want it to be good. And, you know, I will forgive the odd misstep or whatever. If somebody is willing to meet me halfway, if I've got a problem with my room, to sort it out, or particularly if somebody would, you know, say and have a drink on us in the bar or do so, if they want to make it up to me in some way, then I think I'm quite happy. It's just that feeling that you don't matter. I mean, Kerry, how do you deal when you have issues? Because there must be issues, even though you know you're perfect.
Yeah, I wish. Never be perfect. We always try to go above and out of the way. However, being now in 2 different countries, I've noticed all the more how there's a different mentality and persona between my guests in Italy and the UK. The UK will try it on and they will complain over nothing to try and get a refund or something, but not everybody, but there's definitely a higher percentage. So if there's something minor, it won't just be that we can say I'm sorry and offer a free bottle of wine. It usually comes back with a negative review on TripAdvisor or an email, or that they want discount for next day, or they want some kind of discount. If there's a minor problem in Italy, it's like, no problem, it's fine, you know, you solve it, and they're just really happy and appreciative that you've just fixed and solved that minor problem. So for me, that's really refreshing. Yeah. And like going, like you say, you've got to go above and beyond. And so if it's anything serious, and sometimes I just say, you know what, just give the money back, just keep them happy, because it's not worth the battle. And some unfortunately do just want to pick a fight and a battle with you if there's not something that they're happy about. But it's interesting because when you was talking then, and I was just thinking about, you know, my traveling experiences and what I remember most and what sticks out to me the most. In all of the places I've stayed, and I tend to stay between really low budget to medium, and if I can afford it, you know, I'll go for some nice boutique luxury. Yeah. I always remember the high boutique luxury, but I always also remember the lower end with that personal atmosphere and that experience of personal. The middle ground, I can't really remember most of them. If you ask me, they're just not significant because there was nothing.
True, actually, isn't it? I mean, I remember staying in agri-tourismo places where you didn't get a choice of dinner, and you all sat around one table outside, and you got to know all the other guests because you were all sort of stuck out there, and you end up, you know, staying up talking until the early hours of the morning, and you know, this sort of thing. I mean, I think the social aspect and sometimes simple is just absolutely what you want. You don't want to make choices every step of the way. You don't want to have a menu as long as your arm with a load of things you've never heard of. You just want to be able to switch off from that complexity of life, really.
Absolutely. And it's about enriching, and I think those kind of experiences, even if you're staying somewhere so basic, but you have this beautiful connection with meeting new friends and stories, and you know, you're fed things that you wouldn't usually pick and try, you're putting yourself out your comfort zone slightly. Those experiences are more enriching, and they're what people really want, is to be enriched. But sometimes you have to not give them the choice because they won't choose to go out of the comfort zone. So it's, I think there is an element into, you know, now experimental tourism is growing all the more, but I think there's also a big percentage of people that they crave to experience these different opportunities and activities, and whatever could enrich them, but they don't know how to choose it, or if they've got the choice, they won't, for fear of.
You know what
So
I remember when I was doing the first glamping project, it was Garden Village Bled in Slovenia. And it was at that time that was completely different, completely new, unique for Slovenia. That was really like, nobody knew what we are doing. So we were transferring a little bit of piece of Africa into the Europe. And what I've noticed with the guests, because I was at that time also the manager of the resort, so I was there everything. And what the people, what travelers, they liked, it was new experiences and connected with the locals, connected with the local traditional life. So what we gave them, it was really something like strange. So they were able to sleep above the fishing ponds in the tents, and for them it was like, wow, what's that? And they were able also to fish out of the tents.
Yeah.
And it was for them. It was, and then we said, okay, when you catch the fish, you can also bring it to the restaurant, and the chef will prepare it to you. And they had gardens, for example. So each glamping tent, the luxurious glamping tent, had its own garden with a tomato, with the salad, with really big one, with everything completely natural, with the strawberries, with so many fruit that even I didn't know back then. And the people, they were able, the travelers, they were able to stop to share the stuff. They share the knowledge with them, how they grow things, how they do that, how they can grow that to their home. Try it out, pick it up, try it out. So they really fancied that thing, that they could experience something different. They were not just staying in the tent, but they were like having their garden. They were picking the fruit, the strawberries, whatever, the vegetable. They were listening to the stuff, what they should do, and all those extraordinary experiences, even being in a like bio pool, whatever. So this is like something that they are searching now. Extraordinary, new, unique experiences. And of course, with the authenticity connected with the local ones.
Yeah, this is it. And people want that local. If you're going somewhere new and it's sort of off the beaten track, which I think now off the beaten track, especially with influencers on Instagram, there's a lot of, you know, rewilding and traveling that are actually trying to really push you to really get to know a culture. You need to sometimes go off the beaten track and not stay to the fixed tourist areas. And people are seeing that and getting inspired by it. So therefore, you know, they want that Instagram picture themselves, and the more entitled go and sort of search for those local communities and get to sit and know them, aren't they? But I think it's confidence and fearing a lot. And what I do like as well is the growth of, you know, the secret stays now, that there's people that just want to book. They don't want to know where they're going. They've got a budget.
That's crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
These agencies will just say, right, what's your budget? What do you like? What new experience do you want to achieve from this holiday? Pay it, pass it over, and you have no idea where you're staying or what activities you're doing until you actually get there. And there's something nice about it, because we don't get many surprises in life, I guess. So
I agree. I think that's a great concept. That you take that risk. You say, I'm open to enjoy whatever comes my way, because I think travel has been too much of a tick list thing. I've been to France, I've seen the Eiffel Tower, I've been to Italy, I've seen the Tower of Pisa, I've been to this place and I've seen this, you know, and it's sort of in its extreme. It's like these Chinese places where they actually recreate the landmarks of it's so far from authentic, really. And if you say, well, actually, just take me somewhere where I can switch off and enjoy what's around me, the local culture, the local cuisine, the drinks, the weather, whatever the weather is, I'll take it. I think that's something that is much more mindful than being in a rush saying, I haven't seen, you know, the Pantheon, I haven't seen this, I'm rushing on my way so I can take the picture, but have I actually really experienced being there?
True. And sorry, Maja, did you?
No,
There's There's also, it's funny because even today I was with a friend, we was talking about, you know, she likes to plan everything, but sometimes she'll go with people and she's always the planner and she's always the organizer because naturally she's an organizer. So if people fall upon her in a group or the family to also plan, and she feels exhausted by it because she's always she's having a great time on a holiday, but she's having to plan for everybody else who's just relaxed and going with the flow. So these kind of secret stays means that, you know, a whole family or a couple don't have to, because there's usually one that takes more control, I guess, than the other, that they can just, everybody can just relax. And I guess this is why some package holidays are so popular still. I mean, I moved away from package holidays many years ago. I like to, you know the unknown, if you like. But it's just easy, isn't it? If people just want to relax, they just want simplicity and easiness and an actual holiday. And I think that's what's important also to giving glamping, is that experience, something unique, but also that they can just switch off and relax.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember the first places that I stayed in that I really thought, wow, we're on my honeymoon when we went to Lamu, and we stayed in a couple of places which I now realise probably we would call them eco resorts now. One built, you know, completely out of sort of local like bamboo style wicker structures and so on and so forth. But what really struck me about them was that the people that ran them, that owned them, that they treated us as though we were house guests. They came along in the morning and said, what do you fancy doing today, guys? Do you fancy going out doing some water skiing? Do you fancy doing this? Or as though we were their personal guests. And you know, we'd been on safari before that, which was wonderful, being in a camp, again, very like glamping, but being taken to a Maasai camp, which wasn't a real Maasai camp. It was one that they built to take the tourists. And we had to sort of stand there whilst they danced for us. And then we were given or offered beads to buy, which clearly would been imported from China. And it's that sort of authenticity, isn't it? The comparison between those experiences of staying somewhere where you feel free to wander around, sit pick up a book, you know, from the shelves and just go and find a corner and settle down. Or, you know, being herded here and herded there and told what to look at, really.
Yeah, which I guess cruises are a bit like, I've only ever done one with my nan and my gran, my dad and my gran, and we loved it when you stop off, but the whole herding back onto the ship and herding back off and having to queue for 2 hours, and you sat just having a beautiful sunset aperitivo in Cannes, and then you're like, oh quick, you know, we've got a queue to get back on the boat. You're not ready to do that. So, but then again, you know, for some people they love that and they'll go on a cruise and they just don't get off the boat all week. So it's something for everybody, isn't it? Absolutely.
Definitely so. But how do you think that staying in a wonderful place and having a trip, how should it make you feel when you come home? And I must point out we've only got 10 minutes left, so we're going to start to slowly wrap things up. But you know, when you come home, Maja, when you've been away on a good holiday, how do you feel when you come back? Do you feel that you look at life in a slightly different way?
It depends where I was. For example, when I was traveling to South America, to Africa, when I was experiencing those kind of places, I came back completely different, completely transformed. Really, I came back with the different values, with different way of the looking on the world, on the money. Do I need things? No, I don't need so many things anymore. So I was really looking so much different, because when I was there, experiencing all that culture there, all the locals that I've met, that I've seen, that they are so happy, and they have much less things that we do have, for example. All the experiences, and when I've noticed how they take care of the wildlife, how they have those conservers, how do you say, those
Conservation or
on those reserves, yeah, and how they help to I don't know, to the elephants, to rhinos, to the turtles. So it really changed me a lot, really, really a lot. And this is what I want to give to my children as well. I want to take them to all those places so that they will see that it's not the matter. It's not important that they have PlayStation, which by the way they want to have now, and that they need iPhone 7 or whatever. No, you need to go there to see how they take care of those experiential places, how they take care of their community, how they bring it into their resort, how they take care of the, I don't know, turtles when they lay eggs, how they do all those things. And this is more important, how we take care of the planet and everything. So yeah, I want to teach them this, what changed me when I was traveling through all those places.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but I've come back from trips abroad where I thought I've got to change the direction of my life in some way, whether I've got to leave a job or maybe even a relationship. But, you know, I've thought I've had time to reassess, to get off the wheel and just think about what I'm doing in my life. And I think travel, when you're traveling, you're like a sponge, you're soaking things up, and you just get that chance, really, don't you, to take time to work out where you're going. Do you think that's something, Kerry, that maybe your guests as well?
No, totally. I mean, people have come here and just said that they feel inspired, or they're just curious, you know, like you said earlier about meeting an owner of a place and they're curious about knowing. And I get that a lot. People are curious about how I got into this business, what did I do before. They want to know because they want to be able to make that change in their own life.
Yeah.
And I love inspiring. I do love inspiring people to make that change also, because for some people, they've got the money and the option, but they've just got the fear, or they don't want to leave their job. And I think when you travel to all these various places, it is that time to reflect and sort of reset. And a lot of people, you do come home and go, do you know what, I just need to change. And like you said, Maja, so many countries have so much less than we do, and you know, we are a very commercial world now. And for me, the last time I went to America, to be honest, I could not wait to get out of there, because it just didn't do anything for me. But I was in Miami at the time, and it was just commercial. And because I've traveled to places like Africa and Vietnam and Cambodia, where you're really getting the culture, that is what changed. That is what inspired me. That is what gave me my directional path where I want to go in my life. I know that's the kind of experiences I want to continue, because that's what enriches me. You know, the constant commercial side of it, that's not enriching. All it is you just need to work harder to be able to afford it, kind of thing. So yeah, and it is that mindset of it does change people. In fact, I did know last week, actually, on LinkedIn, there was a comment on one of the glamping consultant site posts. And from that, I discovered that one couple had stayed at my place on a hen do, the wife had, and she was inspired, and they set up their own site 3 years ago, and they said, thank you. From coming to stay at your place, you inspired us and you've actually changed our life. And I was like, wow, that's fantastic. And I'm sure, like I do, I go to places and I feel inspired, and that's what gives you that drive.
This is now happening more and more. The travelers now are more aware of their environmental cost of tourism, and they try to book holidays that are more sustainable. They try to contribute to the planet with their actions as well. So where they stay, it matters a lot to them now, more and more.
Well, it's a big investment, isn't it? I think it's a big investment to take a trip, particularly if you're taking a trip to another continent. It's an investment in time, and it's a big investment in money. And I think that certainly younger travellers are far more aware of environmental concerns than we were when we were travelling when we were younger. It wasn't such an issue in our minds. So if you're making that investment, you'd want it to be a positive thing. You won't want to be taking away from the world by your enjoyment. You'd want to feel that you could actually do something good with that time and money that you're putting into your travel. So I think a feel-good destination where you think this business is benefiting its local community, the local landscape, that's a really, really powerful, attractive option for people.
Yeah, it is. And I think that what we forget to do, and I know I forgot to do, and coming back to Italy, being in Italy, because of that big community spirit that they have, is to let your customers know and tell the story, because people, we know that we're helping and we're collaborating and we're buying 0 kilometer products and all the rest of it, but our guests don't know that. And unless we tell them, or unless we write it in our app or our information when we give them breakfast, they don't know. But once you tell them, they feel even more again enriched, that they're helping just not us, but the community.
We're going to get cut off, I think we should do one last cheers and say thank you.
Okay. Thank you, ladies. Thank you.
It was really lovely chatting with you.
Thank you. We could carry on for a long time more, but
all right.
But thank you
We're
anyway.
going to have an all-night party now.
Yes, exactly.